What's up, guys? This is Wes with Sincity Tactical, and thank you for joining the Sincity Tactical show with your co-host, Jax Cook, the Minnesota Overlander.
What's going on, up, guys? Good. How are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. So today we've got a special episode. We're going to have a special guest on the show, roughly around 12:30. So stay tuned for that. This person that's coming on will be able to give you a bunch of information. This is the time where if you're watching and you have gun-related questions when it comes to interviews and stuff like that, where you want information on firearms instruction, where to get classes done in your local Las Vegas area, things like that, I am going to have Wendy from Sight Shooter on the show today to answer some questions for us. So that's pretty exciting. We're definitely glad to have her jump on. All right. So to start things off, check out SincityTactical.xyz or MinnesotaOverlander.xyz. We got a bunch of merch up like Sincity Tactical shirts, hats. I think you've got, what do you got on? You got a
I got the special made one right now.
Sweet. So we got a bunch of that stuff. Yeah. We got a bunch of that stuff on the website. So that's exciting. Check that stuff out. All right. Well, let's jump into our first topic for the day. And I think we're going to start off with some USA news. How do you think about that?
Yeah, let's do it. But before we jump into the USA news, just want to go ahead here and respond back to Robert. What's up, brother? Happy Saturday. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, for today's Saturday USA news, this one's actually going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yes, it should be.
So, obviously, we know the $600 stimulus passed, and some of us have already received it. Others of us haven't quite yet. But so, as of today, at 1:46 Eastern Time, USA Today posted this as Pelosi and McConnell homes vandalized after Congress adjourned without securing $2,000 stimulus checks. So, Louisville, Kentucky, the homes of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi vandalized over the weekend after Congress adjourned Friday without securing $2,000 stimulus checks. Saturday morning, messages like "Where's my money?" and other expletives were written with spray paint across the front door and bricks of the Kentucky Republicans' house in Louisville. Meanwhile, the San Francisco home of Pelosi, a Democrat, was spray painted Friday morning with messages like $2,000, cancel rent. Vandals also left fake blood and a severed pig's head on Pelosi's driveway, according to local news reports. San Francisco police said its Special Investigation Division was investigating. So here's what could happen next. Congress wound down without $2,000 stimulus checks. The vandalism comes after McConnell put the kibosh on a standalone proposal for $2,000 direct cash payments to American households that qualify, an idea supported by President Donald Trump, 44 House Republicans, and several state or Senate Republicans. The Senate is not going to be bullied into rushing out more borrowed money into the hands of Democrats, rich friends who don't need the help, McConnell said in a Senate floor speech Wednesday. Last week, Congress passed a roughly $900 billion coronavirus relief package, including $600 checks for most Americans following a prolonged stalemate between Democrats and Republicans. The House on Monday approved giving Americans $2,000 stimulus checks, but the measure never came to a vote in the Senate. A day later, McConnell introduced his own version of the $2,000 legislation that would link the payments to two issues opposed by Democrats: the creation of an advisory committee that would study the integrity and administration of the November general election and repeal of Section 230, the Communications Decency Act, The Senate adjourned Friday, even without passing the $2,000 stimulus checks, meaning the fate of the proposal in the hands of the next Congress, which convenes Sunday. Her toughest test yet, Nancy Pelosi, to wield Speaker's gavel with thin majority in what may be her last term. You can see there's a picture of "Where's my money?" spray painted on Mitch McConnell's door. In response to the vandalism, McConnell said in a statement Saturday morning, "I've spent my career fighting for the First Amendment and defending peaceful protest. I appreciate every Kentuckian who has engaged in the democratic process, whether they agree with me or not. This is different," he continued. "Vandalism and the politics of fear have no place in our society." So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We all know part of the biggest thing with all of it being signed, at least for the $600, $900 billion proposal there, was basically solely alone on them putting in for the rest of the money to equal $2,000. Clearly, again, as we've seen many times before throughout 2020, Congress yet again is slowly taking their sweet time with it, trying to get not even answers, but these proposals taken care of. But it seems to me like they're going into recess like every other week after getting back.
Absolutely.
So nothing's getting done.
Well, here's my thing on the. I'm getting some echo on your end. If you can turn your volume.
Yeah, I can boost it down a little.
Okay. Here's my thing. $600 is not enough for nobody. That literally is going to pay one or two bills, not close to even paying rent. And secondly, if you look over that stimulus bill or whatever, the proposal, a lot of the money is going out of our country and going to things that are not even COVID related. I'm sorry, but the Smithsonian Center, what does that have to do with COVID? How does that directly affect Americans when the Smithsonian is getting money and various other things along those lines are getting funded for a bunch of things when we're the ones that need the help? I've seen comments where, people were complaining that, well, because Trump didn't sign the order right away, that it's, delaying unemployment payments. So instead of getting 11 weeks, they're only going to get 10. Look, ultimately what it comes down to is when you look at it in a whole, right? $2,000 now and 10 weeks of unemployment, if you're unemployed, is still better than $600 and 11 weeks of unemployment. Do the math. It doesn't add up. So Trump was trying to fight for Americans to get more money because he realized, where is all this money going to and why? I asked somebody a question on Facebook through a comment and never got a response. But my question was, why do Americans have to suffer for other countries' problems? They're not our problems. Their COVID crap is their government's problem. That has nothing to do with us. We need to take care of ourselves, especially right now. And for the fact that, yes, gratefully, I will take the $600, whatever. That's nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. But in retrospect, even $2,000 really ain't very much when you look at it in the grand scheme of things of everything that's going on. And the amount of people that we have in America, we could have significantly done more with that to actually help our people than to give all the money away to other places. And how much money of that is going into the senators and congressmen's pockets, because they have to feed their salaries too. Their salaries are going to get paid before any of us get anything, right? But anyways, I'm going to stop ranting about that. We're going to move into the big picture here. Stimulus checks have come out. Some people have already received them. There's still more on the way. They said that more than likely everything should be done by the 4th, at least, something along the lines of that. It's just bad stuff. Let's see.
Yeah.
Rob Lavoie says,
one quick alibi, I do agree with Rob there.
Yeah, we can take care of other countries after we make sure our people are good. 100%. That was the point basically that I was making, is that why are we not looking out for ourselves? That is a problem. We need to focus on America. We need to stop sticking our nose into other countries' problems. If we decide we want to help somebody else, then we do it. But how many countries outside of America even actually like us? Why are we helping
Right.
people
Well, and that's
that
kind of
don't
my
give a
whole thing,
shit about America anyway? Excuse my language, but they don't care about us. They could care less. If we got blown up tomorrow, they would be, indifferent about the situation. But yet we go and stick all this crap into helping other countries when we don't need to. That's the biggest thing. But yes, you're right. The stimulus checks are rolling. People are getting them. So that's my take on that whole scenario when it comes to the stimulus money.
Yeah, exactly. And to just piggyback on what you said for a minute, it's funny how we're the first to jump and help everybody else out overseas, but yet nobody else is sending money back this way to
Right.
help us. And we're just forking out money like it's Halloween candy. Personally, we need to take care of Americans first. We got homeless veterans out there on the streets. I mean, matter of fact, today, before the show, I did my running and that, and over off the Shepherd Road, there's just camps set up of homeless people on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of that, so one of the things that we do, if you check out the Sincity Tactical Patreon and you feel that financially supporting the channel is something that you're able to do and that you wish to do, um, some of the proceeds is going to go to make care packages, which are going to include sandwiches and snacks and drinks and mini toothbrushes, mini toothpaste, mini deodorants, things like that. And it's going to be geared towards finding those homeless veterans in Las Vegas. I want to help them as much as I possibly can. Of course, I'm going to help other people that I come across, but it's going to be geared more towards helping the veterans out because I feel like a lot of our veterans are extremely mistreated and aren't getting the help that they deserve. And I'm sorry, to go overseas and put your life on the line for a couple $1,000s a month is not okay. People at McDonald's are fighting to try to get $15 an hour, and we can't pay our soldiers who are going and putting their lives on the line enough money to survive and then be able to come back home and not have the problems and stuff like that. You know what I mean? To come back home and have PTSD and have to wait a long time for the VA to approve your care and this and that is wrong.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, I want to give back. Of course, I'm not in the best situation myself, just like everybody else with COVID. People are struggling, but I can make a difference. And anybody that does feel like they're gracious enough to try to donate to the Sincity Tactical Patreon, what I'm going to end up doing with those care packages that I make up is print out a list of names of people who have donated to the cause. I'm going to cut out individual cards, stick them into each care package. So one name is going to go in a specific care package so that vet knows who helped them that day, which is great. And, of course, I'm not going to do it for YouTube clout or anything like that. I may get some footage of us driving around, but physically handing out bags to people, I'm not looking for the clout. I genuinely want to help. But I'll have some footage of us going into areas where you'll see homeless and stuff like that to show that we are doing what we're talking about. I'm a big believer in trust, and being able to trust one's word is a big thing. So I guarantee if you do decide to donate that those care packages will be made up. A name will be put into a bag, hopefully your name if you donate, and we'll make sure that we're out here helping our veterans, especially because it's getting colder at night. So that's the plan.
Indeed.
So, all right, let's move into because we've got only 15 minutes left until our special guest hops on. So we're going to move into the Pro 2A news section real quick, and we'll discuss that real quick. So this is kind of just going to be overall cap of everything that's been going on. ATF withdrew their pistol brace notice. So as of right now, if you own pistol braced firearms like you see behind me, you're okay in the eyes of the law still. Don't let your guard down though, because they're not going to stop, especially if we have a anti-gun president, anti-gun Senate, and anti-gun, Congress or government for that matter. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep trying. Of course, it's very unconstitutional, but they're going to keep pushing that issue. As of right now, we're good. Don't let your guard down on it, though. Still take steps to prepare yourself for that situation. Nobody wants the FBI or the ATF kicking down their door. Speaking of that, Polymer 80 still to this day is refusing to release customer information. But I will say if you purchased any Polymer 80 items with a credit card, the credit card companies have been releasing information to the ATF and to the FBI and stuff like that. That's how you're seeing Polymer 80 raids happening on the news and on YouTube and stuff like that. So, unfortunately, if you've paid for something Polymer 80 related with a credit card, you may be subject to that situation. And of course, that's very unconstitutional as well, for the simple fact that they were legally allowed to be possessed in certain states. And of course, it comes down to your state laws. Here in Nevada, Polymer 80, I believe Polymer 80 is actually from Nevada. Somebody can leave a comment in the comment section verifying if that's true or not. But if I'm thinking correctly, they're from Nevada. But make a long story short, they are still trying to make moves on the Polymer 80. They have not backed off of that. If anything, they've kind of ramped it up. But your pistol brace setup is still okay. We're not having issues with the pistol braces at this point in time. So, all right. That was it on the Pro 2A news. The next little thing we're going to hop into real quick, just because we've got a couple minutes left before Wendy from Sight Shooter hops on. We're going to hop into our sponsors and shout out section. First, I want to give a shout out to Controlled Pair Munitions for supporting me directly by allowing me to work in their gun store and supporting the channel. And then, of course, Wendy from Sight Shooter, who is a Patreon and helps fund these live stream shows and videos that you are currently watching. Another shout out to 702 HVAC Guy. You can check him out on Twitch. He does Call of Duty Twitch streams and other various games like Red Dead Redemption. So if you're a gamer and you like watching that kind of content, 702 HVAC Guy, check him out on Twitch. And TacPack also supports the channel. If you use my code SC Tactical, you'll get a free mystery grab bag on your first order of TacPack. You get pretty much goodies from the last X amount of boxes. They'll take items that they have and put it in an extra bag, so you get some added value to your TacPack. But that's it. That's all I got on my shout outs. You got some shout outs and sponsors stuff, Jax?
Yep. So haven't shouted G3survival.com out in a while, but mine and Griff's buddy G3 is coming out with some new leather-made gear. So check the website out. It should be already up on there. I'd have to look and verify it, but I spoke to Griff yesterday, and it looks like he's starting to mass produce things. And Griff's probably going to be making some more stamps for him here soon. As of today, it's official that Griff will be back on Thursday night's episode. Oh, and Holly comments saying, "Hey, bro. Hi, sis. How's it going?" The other shout out I want to do, though, is for TechX Pro Gear and NCCA. They are a sponsor of the Overlanders. We have an ambassadorship thing going with them. If you use the code Overlander25, you'll get 15% off your purchases at NCCA and 25% off your purchase at TechX Pro Gear. I have some stuff on the way in the mail from them as well, along with some more tactical items here coming on Tuesday that will be ready for either Thursday or Saturday night's episode of next week.
Awesome. I did have one more shout out that I wanted to do, and I'm actually trying to find it real quick. It's also a another Twitch stream. It's One Shot, so ONESHOT 417. Does a lot of Fortnite and stuff like that. So check out that Twitch stream as well. So 702 HVAC guy. That's where you'll get your Call of Duty, Cold War, and Warzone and that type of content. And then One Shot 417 is going to give you content on Fortnite and things like that as well. Both those guys are really good. And they interact with the viewers, which a lot of Twitch streams that I see, they don't really interact. They're just so focused into the game that they're not taking the time necessarily to address their audience. So once again, 702 HVAC guy, One Shot 417. Check them out on Twitch. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here, and this is going to be a little introduction to our guest that will be coming on very shortly. Hi, Miss Danielle. Will I be in the store today or tomorrow? Possibly. Maybe tomorrow. I just got to see what we got going on with the schedule. Thank you for hopping on. I appreciate you checking out the stream. All right. So let's get this pulled up. Our special guest is going to be Wendy from Sight Shooter. Here's her website. What you can get on here is classes, schedules, the classes that she offers, her mission statement, safe firearm handling, things like that. It is sightshooter.com. There's also an About Us page, contact page, classes, class schedule. So you can get all of your firearm training needs done if you're local in Vegas. So we've got a couple minutes left, and it looks like Miss Wendy has joined us. So we'll actually get her into the video here. Hi, Miss Wendy. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good to hear. Glad to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Absolutely. So in the top right-hand corner, or maybe your top left-hand corner, that's Jax, my co-host from Minnesota. He's going to have a couple questions for you, and then I've got a couple questions for you as well, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. I just had my McAfee had paused all you guys.
Okay, perfect. All right. So my first question is, where are you from originally, or are you a local to Vegas?
And then my phone came back on with the show. So what did you ask?
My question is, where are you from originally, or are you local to Vegas?
I'm local to Vegas now, but I'm originally from, I grew up in Rochester, Minnesota, and then my last years until I retired in 1998 was spent in Minneapolis.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's not too far from where Jax is.
No, I'm actually out in Mendota Heights, so a little closer to Eagan, but I grew up over on the east side of St. Paul, so.
Yeah, well, my daughter and grandson live in northeast Minneapolis.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I do get to Minneapolis a couple times a year. And then I have to take my grandson out shooting because he loves to shoot. My daughter's kind of, So when I was there in August, we went through 500 rounds of 45 in 2 days.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Put rounds down range, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, if you want to give us a little introduction on what you do as Sight Shooter, or what do you offer to your students?
Okay, basically what I like to I like working mostly with new firearms owners, and that because I still remember when I first started, because I've only been shooting about 5-6 years.
Okay.
And well, growing up in southern Minnesota, my parents were pheasant hunters, so my dad made me take a hunter safety course, but we're talking late 60s, and being the only girl in the class, and I really didn't do anything for a while.
Okay.
So then what I did, I ran across somebody offering a women in target class. And I said, well, my husband has 2 handguns. I should know how to use them. Well, he still has 2. And Wes, you probably got an idea what I have.
Oh, yeah. And I love when you bring them by the shop and I get to play with them and gunsmith on them a little bit. Definitely fun. You got some pretty nice toys. The last toy she brought in was a AR-10. We put a bipod on it and was messing around with your scope and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I just bought a riser for the scope, so I'll be in probably tomorrow.
Perfect. Then I'll be there. I'll be able to help you with that tomorrow.
And get that up, because there's just certain things I won't do.
Yeah.
And part of it is because I don't want to learn, and part of it is because, well, especially when I deal with my 1911s, I don't like dealing with a little pin because I don't want to get the dummy scratch.
Gotcha on that. Well, you know we're always there for you for that. Whenever you come on down, we'll get you always taken care of.
Yep. That's what I like about controlled pair.
Absolutely. Okay, well, you kind of answered a part of my next question, and that was asking how you got it started in firearms. So I'll move on to a different question. What's your favorite firearm that you own?
Ooh. I would have to say my Delta Elite.
Ooh, yes.
I don't use it a lot, but I think it's my favorite.
Absolutely. And I know you have so many, so that was definitely a hard question to ask you there.
Yeah, especially, well, like I said, I just picked up my one for Christmas and haven't had a chance to go out with that one yet.
Right. Yeah, especially with the way that ammo prices is right now. It's definitely a lot harder for people to go shooting. But from what I understand, sometimes, at least with 22 ammo, I think in one of your classes, you said that sometimes you're able to offer ammo, but of course it depends on COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, basically what I like to do with my students is we first go through like a 2 to 2.5 hour safety class, learning safety rules. And then if they've already purchased their firearm, I have it bring it with no ammo anywhere near with, and we learn how to field strip it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Because I know in the store they do it, but you're under stress. So I sit there, okay, we'll take the time, because that's one of the most important things, is to learn how to field strip your own firearm and know where to clean it, how to clean it, what do I need to clean it. And then when we go out to the range, what I like to do is start them out with a 22 that I own that's similar in size. And I supply the ammo so that they, because I know it's hard enough for them to get the ammo for their own firearm. Absolutely. And until they get comfortable, they're going to do that. And I just keep enhancing what I have for tools. So now, like recently, I've bought a shooting table so that they can shoot from bench rest first.
Wow.
So it's, and I like, today I'm having a whole bunch of steel targets delivered, because shooting steel is fun.
Yes. I prefer steel over paper. I like the audible recognition that I hit my target. And then, of course, you're not having to go down range and check paper and change paper and do all that. I can rattle can it and keep on shooting.
Yeah, well, I like the splatter targets for paper, because you can see them right away. It's not like, shoot, did I hit it? You know exactly right away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, my last question, and then I know Jax has a series of questions for you as well. Why did you become a firearms instructor?
Well, part of it is all the training. I would say 99% of the training I took was from men. And they teach differently. And women tend to learn a little differently. And so I started out first with basic, the NRA basic pistol course. And there's a program here called the Anti-Oakley Women's Shooting Program, which I like because it's a free program for women. and it gives them the basic thing to at least start learning to be comfortable with a firearm.
Absolutely.
And I thought I enjoyed doing that, and I said, that only gets them so far. So let's go delve into it deeper, and because I want women to feel 100% comfortable and feel they're empowered to protect themselves.
I agree 100%. I think that's one of the biggest things. I mean, you've met my daughter, you've been around her a lot. And I think that was my biggest thing was I'm not always going to be there to protect her. And she needs to be able to defend herself. And of course, not a sexist comment that I'm going to make, but when you have a 6'5", 300-pound dude, and you have someone my daughter's size who's barely 5 foot, as she is, I mean, obviously you can be overpowered very easily. So, not just that. Say you're going to get into your car and you're in a parking lot, it's dark, and you're parked in the back or something. You never know what could happen when you're being caught off guard. So having that firearms training to be able to protect yourself, I think, is very, very important.
Yeah. And I'm in the process of putting together a 6-session class, and we're going to deal with not only firearms, but other non-firearm techniques, weapons type things, because as we know, there's places you can't carry a gun.
Right.
And how I got into this thing is I had to have a hip replaced in January of 2019. So I was walking with a walker all the time, and I was by myself. I'd have to fold it up, put it in the back seat of my car, and then hobble to the front seat. And I'm just, one day it just kind of struck me, I'm really vulnerable right now.
Yeah.
And so that made me become very aware. And so I'm trying to do more situational awareness, especially when I get it, I'm in a parking lot, and do I just open up my door and hop in the car, or, should I look around and see what's kind of hanging out there? Because some parking lots are worse than others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate you answering my questions. Jax, I know you've got some questions for, if you want to introduce yourself and jump in.
Indeed. Hi, I'm Jax. I am the Minnesota Overlanders head, which is partnered with Wes over at Sincity Tactical there. So, first question I have for you is, what is your favorite course to teach, and what about the material itself that makes the course your favorite?
Well, basically what I've been doing through COVID is just introduction, very basics. I've written my own course. I put together, part of this is learning for me, because in my career as a banker, I never had to use PowerPoint. So it was like, okay, let's learn how to put together a PowerPoint. Let's how to put an animation into it, so that it's a good tool that I can use to help them learn. And then what I always do is, so that my instruction isn't dry, I put in personal stories of my own or people I've been in contact with.
Okay. Yeah. I know everybody learns, differently, as you've already previously said. Some people are more visual learners and hands-on for others, and then some people just learn from experience as well. So, that's awesome.
And in the total course, in the safety course, we do get a little bit of hands-on, but I also try to make sure that they're involved. Be sure to ask me questions if you don't understand something, or, try and get them to be involved. Now, like when I teach the Annie Oakley, we're talking, I've got an hour and 20 minutes, and I've got people that have, I shot like maybe 20 years ago, or, I just got a new gun, but I don't know how to use it at all. And so you've got a whole lot of different experience people there. And I just, it comes up on a big screen TV, and I have them read the stuff. So try, and that's the one thing that in all the coursework I've done, they always say, student participation. They're going to learn better from that. They're going to feel like they're more worthy.
Exactly, and that's awesome. Especially Myself, I've been through the carry course itself, and the instructor I go through, he's a lot more hands-on when it comes time to get out to the range.
Yeah.
But throughout the entirety of the death by PowerPoint, if you will, he tries to make it fun. He brings in, like airsoft replicas that run off the CO2, and then your blue dummy guns to just kind of give people a feel of every gun's going to fit differently into your hands. So
Yeah. And in fact, when I got my concealed permit here in Nevada, it was good in Minnesota, and now it isn't anymore. So one of these times when I get there, I got to apply for my take the course to do my non-resident.
indeed. And if you do ever make it up this way and are looking for somebody to go through, I could make that happen for you up here.
Yeah, because I definitely, especially with what I've been reading about what's going on in Minneapolis and that, and is it there? I want to be protected. I mean, I can open carry, but like my daughter was telling me the last time I was there, she said, "Don't. They'll come after you if they see you open carry."
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
I think I heard something last night that there was another shooting in Minnesota or something.
Yeah, there was something recently.
Yeah, there was one the other day, I believe, and then there was one that happened Christmas morning up here. Unfortunately, it was a 2-year-old infant, so that got hit by a stray bullet. So
yeah, I just read about the one on 36th and Cedar, the Cedar Riverside area.
Okay, yep.
And which is an area I'm very familiar with.
We had a shooting like that here in Vegas not too long ago, where a mother, I guess the husband or boyfriend or whatever, had taken the bullets out. Well, I think Miss Wendy knows the story better, so I'll let her.
Yeah, what it was this young woman that had gotten a firearm, and she was showing it off to her sister, and had pulled the magazine out, and she had not loaded it. Her boyfriend had loaded the gun fully for her. And being that she was untrained, she did not know one was left in the chamber when she took the magazine out. She thought it was unloaded. And she, to me, violated, always treat a gun as it's loaded.
Yep.
And number 2, never point at anything you don't wish to destroy. And she pointed at her 3-year-old son and ended up shooting him in the head with the one that was still in the chamber.
Yeah. And that just happened too. That wasn't too long ago.
No, that was maybe 3 weeks ago at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there was somebody I follow that had an article about that, and they were saying, it was a discussion point. Should people, when they buy a firearm, especially if it's their first one, should they be required to take training?
I think so, absolutely. In the earlier stages of the Sincity Tactical live stream show and Jack's joining on, we talked about that a little bit, where me personally, it was a gun control topic is what we were talking about. Of course, I'm against gun control and the fact that, it's not constitutional. But I do feel like if there needs to be gun control, it's not taking guns away from law-abiding citizens who've done what they need to. Like, I mean, my background pretty well, Wendy. CCW and extra training, RSO certifications, and all these other things that I've acquired to make sure that I'm going to be as safe as I can with the firearm. It's like driving, right? You have a 15-year-old kid, they can get a permit, but they have to get a permit. They have to drive with somebody who's over 21 for X amount of time. It has to be logged. Then you have to do a written test and, a driving test and all these other things before you physically are allowed to do it. I feel that is a better form of gun control than just taking my guns.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That if we had something in place where people were taught to be safe, taught all the safetiness of it, we wouldn't have these negligent discharges and stuff like that, the stupid ones.
Absolutely.
So the actual shootings would be by the criminals, which we can't control them.
Right. And that, that comes back to the point of, taking my guns away from me does not stop the crime rate, especially when we're talking about AR-15s. There's very, very low statistics stating that crimes have actually been committed with AR-15s. Majority of them are done with illegal pistols that were unregistered or not registered to the person who possessed it at that time. So,
Yeah.
first off, I mean, AR-15s, that's a totally different topic that could take on a huge amount of time. But for me, it's a matter of, if you're going, like you said, to buy your first firearm, you should be required to go through a 4-hour classroom session or 2-hour class session. Learn at, like you said, like your course. I think that would be a perfect thing for that, where you learn how to field strip. You learn how the gun operates, the mechanics of it. Then you physically put finger to the trigger, learn it, make sure this is what you really want to do. And I guess my question that leads to that is, as a firearms instructor, do you feel that within that 2.5 to 5-6 hour class that you could kind of gauge if this person really should have a gun or not? I think just giving somebody a gun is kind of scary,
Yeah. Well, I had a student that she had a Smith & Wesson 22.
The compact.
And, we did 2 non-shooting classes. And she decided it wasn't for her. And I've had students, when I did the animal play, had this one lady that she does the background checks for NICS here.
Yeah.
And it was like, she shot well, but after every one, and we're talking shooting a Mark IV 22, which isn't a very powerful gun, but every shot she squealed.
Oh.
She was accurate, but she squealed, and she said, "Nope, it's not for me." But I look at it, that is the smart way to do it.
Absolutely.
There's some people that definitely not. No way do I want to do it. And then there's other times when you get situations where a significant other talks a person into, "Oh, you need to take this one." I just heard an incident the other day with a customer that was in the store that I know. And he was saying he saw somebody doing a CCW class doing the qualifications. And even at 3 yards, she didn't hit the target.
Oh.
She dropped the muzzle so far each time. And he says she thinks that her spouse was, convincing her to go.
We get that a lot in the shop. People will come in and, "My gun's not shooting straight. Can you check the sights?" And you check them and the sights are okay. And that leads to like the Mantis training systems for dry fire practice. We offer that inside the shop. And it tells you if you're pulling the trigger too much, or if you're breaking your wrist up, or anticipating recoil and things like that. I still strongly suggest anybody who's watching to go through an actual course with an instructor and everything like that. But this is a perishable skill. If you don't practice it, you're going to lose it. You can't just pick up the bike and go. Yes, you could pick up the firearm and shoot it, but this isn't riding the bike and falling down and scraping your knee. This is, you pull the trigger at the wrong time in the wrong place, you can end up in jail or worse for a lot.
Well, I know, like right now, I'm having to go back and kind of relearn some of my things, because for the longest time I shot low left, and I knew what I was doing, but it was like, okay, how do I correct it?
Right. And
I finally learned how to correct it. But now, after my wrist surgery, I'm back to doing that again.
Right.
Because I have to develop the strength back in my hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that you gotta practice. But I know Jax has a couple of more questions for you as well.
And before I get into the questions, I do agree with that statement as well. We have covered that in previous episodes. However, I don't know how much Wes has told you about me outside of being from Minnesota, but I did 6 years in the Army. So even before we went out to the range to qualify on our weapons, it was learning how to field strip. It was practicing the trigger squeeze, your breathing, and your sight picture before we even got out there. So I think for especially first-time gun owners or just anybody in general that is trying to get back into it. Let's say, for instance, you've had people not do it for 20 years, go through a safety course again and, refresh your memory, because things like that aren't as easy to pick up and remember as, like Wes said, riding a bike, and consequences in a negligent discharge situation could be fatal. So,
Yeah.
Yes, it can.
now, second question I have for you is, when it comes to firearm safety, how much time is spent going over the basics of firearm safety as compared to other courses that are more advanced, compared to being a new shooter or first-time gun owner?
Well, like I said, my PowerPoint is about 2 hours long, and I go into there. I start out with the NRA rules, and then there's about another 8 or so to them, 8 to 10 more of those, and really go through them. And then, of course, we have to talk about eye protection, hearing protection, and even talk about when you go to the range, the best way to dress. I know that I've run into controversy because some people say, well, you should dress like you're gonna, like you usually dress. Well, when I'm out in the desert, I'm not going to be wearing heels and a dress. But maybe at an indoor range, I might show up that way, because that may be how I dress for work. But I really go over that, and really try to go over the function that one of my I got 2 videos in there. One of them talks about how semi-automatic works, because people just don't comprehend, that. And I try to teach them the proper terms, because, when I first learned, I wasn't even taught how to grip the pistol. And so, and I find now I'm starting to take more advanced stuff, and I take different courses from different people, and I even pick up, oh, that would be a good thing to do. That would be a good thing. That would be a good way to teach to do a better grip. Because I know the first time I was taught to have the offset, so that you had this part of your support hand, you had that on the grip, so it was kind of offset. And first time I was taught that, I go, huh? And finally, one day I happened to be watching a video by Rob Pincus, who happens to be a top guy, and I go, oh, that's it. Well, now I'm learning how to refine it, how to teach it, because that's part of the thing, is you have to learn. You have to learn how to do the things yourself, but then you have to break it down and learn how to teach it. And that I used to teach yoga, and that was part of the thing, is I had to learn how can I break this down? Because I can do it easily, but how somebody learning it for the first time, how can I teach it to them so that they click? And I know, like, somebody in one of my Anioku classes, where we're in the classroom, there are no firearms, and she goes, oh, it's in the pocket. So it clicked to her in that way. So each person, it'll click in some other way.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for me, that's a huge thing. I like that you said that you're breaking things down in different ways to try to explain it to where it's easily to understand. And even like you said, for me, it's like I could have received all this training. I believe that complacency is a very bad thing. Once you've gotten to the mindset that I know what I'm doing, I'm good, is when things start to go bad. Because if you're not constantly trying to learn something new, then you're going to regress, and things are going to get worse. Things are going to evolve, and you're not adapting with it. It can cause a lot of problems. So, like in the shop, we talked about the little Mantis training system. Well, for the past couple of days when I was there, we've been messing around with it as like employees, just messing with it. Doing dry fire in the shop when it's slow. And, I had some shots that I was confused on. I would pull the trigger and I'd get a score that I just wasn't happy with, and go, okay, well, what am I doing? What am I doing? Then I would look over and Jared would be standing there or something. And, Jared, he'll hold the gun upside down one-handed with his offhand, pull it with his pinky, and get a 99. And it upsets me. But, I know, okay, he clearly knows something that I don't, or maybe he's doing something a different way. So I would ask him, all right, well, what are you doing? Let me see your hands. I want to see how you're holding it. Maybe, your elbow being, instead of like this, you're cocked out and getting a better grip and not being locked elbows. And there's so many different factors that go into it that you have to constantly keep learning. And I appreciate that, you being a firearms instructor are able to say that you're still learning everything yourself and constantly want to keep learning. I think that's a big thing because people can get very, very cocky in their abilities and stop learning themselves. So I appreciate hearing that.
No, I know. One time I was teaching in Annie Oakley, and somebody was walking in, and I go, "Is that a firearm?" And they says, "Well, you won't be." And we have a rule that we don't know anybody's ability, so they all start at the same level. Bench rest, 22, gun supplied by us. And this gal says, "Well, I've got my CCW." And I go, "Well, so?" Because I know people, I've got a girlfriend that she's had her CCW for a couple of years. For her birthday last spring, her husband got her a gun. He wasn't able to take her out to teach because he had ill health and ended up passing away a few months ago. But I told her, okay, you and I are going to go out. I'm going to teach you how to use that gun. But here she is with a CCW and doesn't know how to use her gun.
Right. And I think I know who you're referencing. So
you've met her.
I have met her. Yes. Well, that's good to hear. And that's really the brutal truth too. The CCW class is not extremely hard, and there's not a lot of emphasis on the actual shooting portion. And unfortunately, I've come across instructors in Las Vegas that only really care about the classwork portion and don't care if you qualify shooting or not. They'll just go, okay, thanks for the $100, and then here's your application. And I think I told you that story, Wendy, where the first time I took the CCW class was with an instructor who was Navy, and he was a captain in the Navy. We met at a Denny's. We did the classroom portion of it. And then, all of us had our firearms in our boxes and our ammo, and we're all excited to go shooting. And he was like, "It's cool. Do you have pictures of targets that you've shot on your phone?" And I'm like, "What?" Like, I thought we were going shooting. That, for me, that was the whole point. I understand the classwork stuff. I didn't need to focus on that. I want to focus on the shooting portion. And he just gave everybody their applications, collected his fee, and left. And me, I paid him for his time, which I kind of feel like I shouldn't have. And I took the application, and I got home and I felt guilty. I was like, this isn't right. I didn't earn this like I was supposed to. So I redid the course. Ended up paying double to get my class done just because I refused to take an application from somebody that didn't make me work for it. And I feel like, obviously I don't know how your friend got her CCW, but the point that I was making is the distances that there are, you can train enough in a short amount of time to be accurate at those, get it, and then never touch a firearm again, and then literally lose all the skills that you did to pass that class. And that's scary too, to know that that's something that's real, that happens.
Yeah, it happens too frequently. And I'm just, like I said, it's a perishable skill in that. And I find what's interesting is when I was in Minnesota, looking at my grandson's target, and he was shooting all over the place. And I knew his grip was okay because I'd already worked on that previously. So then I said, okay, where do you use your finger on the trigger? Because that will affect it.
Yeah.
And it was in the right spot. So then my next question was, what sight are you focusing on? He was focusing on the rear sight.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I got him to focus on the front sight. His pattern got that big.
Ooh, that's good.
A couple stray ones, but I mean, he got into doing that instead of bing, bing, bing all over the place.
Right.
And that's and that's what I like is when you get to the point where you can get them to work on just one or two things.
Yeah. And even for me, I'm still working on things. Like I said, on the Mantis thing, I wasn't getting the score where I wanted, and I realized what I was doing. I don't know if you've seen our training gun or not, but it's a Sig Sauer 226. It's a CO2 gun. It's an airsoft gun that we just put the Mantis on. So of course it's got a really loose trigger and stuff like that on it. And what I was realizing is, obviously each gun has a different grip, and you got to get proficient with all of your firearms, not just one. That's one thing that bothers me is when people qualify for their CCW with a gun that they're not even going to be using as their carry gun. You should qualify with the gun you intend to carry. That's just me. But
I agree with that.
My finger placement on one gun I noticed was different than where I put it on a different gun, just because of muscle memory of knowing I'm a little bit more accurate this way than I am this way. But what I realized I was doing the most is my under fingers on the grip, I would start to squeeze. I would do a death grip on it before I would actually make my trigger pull, which would cause me to jerk to the left.
Yeah. That was one thing I had pointed out to me, is that when you're moving and I have people actually do it with nothing in their hand. It says, move your trigger finger and watch what happens to the other three fingers. So what I've learned, what I've been taught, is it's your support hand that's where the strength comes from, so that you're not moving those fingers, that all you're moving is your trigger finger.
Right.
And I mean, like I said, when I learned something that I've had problems with, that I know other people do, it's like, okay, this is how I can correct it. Like a lot of people, when they hit the reset area, when they hit the wall, then they just kind of slap through it real quick. And I was out at Desert Days one day and hadn't been shooting for a while, and Jared could see what I was doing. He says, "You're slapping the trigger." So I slowed way, way down. He said, "You don't have to go that slow, but to realize, to feel what you're doing."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I was doing that. I was slapping the trigger on that training system too. And that was frustrating me too, because it's like, I'm not doing that. But then same thing like you said, I slowed my finger down, made sure I got a good solid break and follow through, and made sure I held the trigger down for more than that. I held it down, then felt my release and reset, and I started getting better shots and better scores and stuff. So
yeah, I know. I've got a CERT pistol, and they've got a program that there's another company that's affiliated with them, that you use like an iPad or a tablet of some kind, so that it actually traces, and it'll show like you've dropped the front of your pistol, or you've dropped your muzzle, or that, so you can really fine tune what you're doing.
Yep. The Mantis system does that. So what's cool about it is when you're doing your initial shots, it has like a little circle, tells you your score right in the middle, and it'll show a red marker of if you were left or right. Then you can scroll to the next one. It'll show you your shots and how long the trigger pull was, what your score was. You move to the next one. It shows a graph of where it would have hit on a target at a certain distance. And then when you go to the very last one, it's actually the gyro in it. When you move the gun, you're watching it do this on the screen. Yeah. So you can sit there and literally focus your grip and make sure you're not constantly doing this. Because I noticed I did that too. I would shake. I'm shaking the gun, trying to get lined up, which of course isn't going to help me be accurate by any means.
I've got a Mantis system in a box. I think I have the iTarget in a box.
Yeah.
It's just getting them out, setting myself up, and doing it.
That's what I'm waiting on. I'm going to end up getting one of the Mantis systems from work and messing with it at home.
Well, actually,
of course, anybody that's watching, I'm going to do it
on. Where I work over in by Russell and Cameron, there's a store that had moved from Chinatown into that area, and they've got a training facility, and they use airsoft. But just recently, one of the guys from work went over there, and they have something where they're using something like Mantis for their right in their training. And I thought, now that would be a cool way, because then you wouldn't need to have a shooting range.
Right.
Indeed.
And that's the thing, is not enough people dry practice, myself included.
Myself included as well.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because for the first time, what was it? In like 2 or 3 years, last competition season, I went out with my other host on my end, Griff, and we were shooting on a Thursday night for competition. And there was one stage where I was just completely shooting over the target and couldn't figure out exactly why. And I got so used to just using the front sight post in the first year that I shot and got like dead on with it that, oh yeah, I figured after a couple of years I should be fine, just shooting with the front sight. And then his dad looks at me and goes, well, you had the muzzle of the gun way up in the air. And so it was sending my shots over the top of the target by like 2 or 3 inches, but just enough to completely miss.
Yeah. And the thing is like you said, we're taught to focus on the front sight that you forget to line up your sights.
Yep. That's what one would consider point shooting.
Yeah. In fact, because I wear reading glasses, I've got shooting glasses that the bifocal on my dominant eye is on the top.
Oh, wow.
So that, because otherwise you're like, first time using them, I put them on and I'm looking, where's the target? Because if you look through that, the target's going to be blurry. And so that really made me realize, okay, you line stuff up and then you start your focus. Yep. And after that, then, and I find if I focus on that front sight and make sure I keep my alignment, because as it rises and comes back down, you make it a quick alignment assessment, and then you can go.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So I'm going to kind of change up the flavor on my last question here for you. So now, being as you're an instructor yourself, would you suggest, new shooters not only take the course, but get into like an action shooting sport for more practice behind the trigger?
You mean like competition?
Yeah.
I've only done one competition, and I got invited to go out to Nellis for a steel shoot. And it pointed out to me a lot of things I needed to learn. And in fact, I did a class in September. I went to a conference put on by Active Shooter Protection, I think it is. And we got stormed out, so I couldn't finish the class. But it was one where there were shapes, colors, and numbers. And it was to help you with your defensive decisions. So he'd go, triangle. You'd look, okay, my target has a triangle on it. Then he'd go, yellow. Yeah, it's yellow. Number 5. Nope, mine's not number 5. But if it was number 5, then I had to do 2 shots to center mass. So it was to help you develop that decision making, which I thought was an interesting. And I haven't seen those targets around. I want to get some because I thought, now that's a good drill to learn.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Okay, so I've got sightshooter.com pulled up, and the classes that you offer looks like intro to handguns, basics of pistol shooting, personal protection in the home, personal protection outside the home, range safety officer course, and it looks like it's the NRA certified range safety officer course, so that's cool. And refuse to be a victim seminar. You want to talk about that a little bit? What's the refuse to be a victim seminar?
Okay, it is all book class, but what it is it's more of a situational awareness type course. So that one thing in that course, it talks about having a safe room in your house, so that everybody knows if there's a situation come in, we all congregate to that safe room, and it gives you ideas of what things you how you should designate that room as a safe room.
Awesome. Well, I think that's huge too, especially with this protection in the home. I know at least with me and Jonna and her mom, we all have a very strong understanding of, what our funnel is, and in the event that something's going to happen, where they need to be if I am going to start putting rounds down hallways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've practiced numerous things when it comes to that. Of course, not with firearms. It's more like baseball bats and brooms acting as guns. But that's the safety part for me, at least, is not doing it with a real gun in the house, obviously. But knowing your home and the layout and providing a plan, because I think you can make up a plan for, okay, well, all my guns are in this room, what am I going to do? But I think planning needs to also be per room dedicated. Like, what if I'm sitting on the couch, because that's more than likely where most people are when they're home, is on the couch watching TV or something along the lines of that. And if my guns are super far away, what am I going to do? I need to be prepared for that. So we try to practice that as much as we can. That's a course that I'm going to want to take with you as well. And then I know the personal protection outside of the home, I'm going to want to do that one. I have an RSO certification, but mine's not through the NRA. Mine's through the USCCA, so I probably want to take that course too.
Yeah.
But from everything I'm seeing, it looks like you offer a good amount of stuff.
I want to do the UCCA coursework, but I have an issue with one of the instructors, so I won't do it here in Las Vegas.
Right.
And so I've just been looking around and and when I did an instructor development course last June, and there were a few of the guys there were training counselors in other areas of the country. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try and look up one of those guys. I know there's somebody I know that does it over in Victorville in California, that area.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just go there and get a hotel room for a couple nights and do it, because I've heard the materials are in better are newer than what the NRA has done.
Yeah, I took my RSO class. I took it online. Is where I took mine at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The course was all classroom based from the internet. I'm actually trying to pull it up real quick and see if I don't have access to that file. Okay, yeah, actually I do. So let me pull this up into the screen here. Okay, so I've done one completed. So the USCCA Range Safety Officer course, it's just a bunch of modules, and they have videos and scenarios and stuff like that. I'm going to see if I can't print out the stuff, and I'll give you that class.
Yeah, because I know when I took mine, we happened to be out. The guy that held the course did it out at the base, and there's no actual firearm.
Right.
It's learning about a lot of the stuff, and then practicing scenarios.
That's what that is. There was no firearms involved. Literally, it was me sitting here and doing, visual things. What I did like is the videos that they had was people at the range, and there's 3 bays of people, and all of them are shooting and doing different things, and you physically have to watch what's happening. And then at the very end, they'll be like, okay, who was the one that made a fatal mistake? And then you have to point it out and go, what did they do? And there could have been like going to drop the magazine and turned around to put the gun in the bag, but now he pointed it back at people behind him. You got to be very vigilant about what you're looking at to catch it. So that was a pretty good course. But I'm a big believer in too. It's like we said a little bit earlier, getting training from one place may not always be the best thing. Getting training from multiple different aids is huge.
Yeah, I know. I went to the USCC Expo. Like this past year, they had to cancel it, so it was the year before that. And I took some courses that were things like, if somebody's trying to get your gun away from you, how do you handle that? Yeah. Another one was scenarios. Like one was like a church, and you had an active shooter come in, and who were your CCW holders? Were they that? And who was there? Was there any bad guys in the group? So these were really scenarios that you would see in real life. And then I know I had another one where we learned to clear a room.
Oh, I
And
like that.
go
That's
look
a
at my house.
QCB stuff. I like
Yeah, and I sit there. In my house, I have a Jack and Jill bathroom,
that. Okay.
which means that would be very difficult to clear. Because if you start in one room, they could go through that Jack and Jill bathroom, go into the other room. You get that room cleared, they can come back. So I'd probably have to learn. Okay, I got to shut the door so they can't come back in. You'd have to learn, practice it.
Right. Absolutely. And that's stuff that we practiced here at home. So like my personal bedroom, I have a private balcony attached to my bedroom and then a window not too far from there. And then my bedroom door literally is the end of the hallway from my front door. So from my room to my front door, I have a straight line to that front door, but there's multiple entry points from my room itself. And
Yeah.
being ground level, that obviously creates a situation where they can make entry from multiple different places. And then coming down my hallway, there's my room is the very back. There's a room right next to mine, another room, a bathroom on this side, and then it breaks off into the living room and kitchen. Well, if I'm coming down the hallway to clear it, I've got 5 different points. That's why I call it my funnel, because literally that's what it is. You're in a tight hallway with multiple doors on either side, then you have only tunnel vision, literally, to the front door, which is kind of intimidating in that layout. But getting confident with how your layout is and what you would do in different situations is huge. I love QCB stuff. I was working with Mike, the gun store employee. We were in there one day and it was slow, and we were talking about moving around corners with like my little AR 9mm pistol right there. That's my home defense gun. If it came down to it, that's what I'm gonna run. Well, you saw that on election night when we were there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm running in my house if I need to.
Yeah.
But we were using a longer barreled rifle, and I'm different than some people. Well, no, I don't have anything that I could use, and we can't hold guns on a live stream. So Mike shoulders his gun here, on his right side when he's scanning. And if he's going to move into a room, he'll switch grips completely and then shoulder on the left. And now he's left-handed on his trigger. I'm left-handed naturally, but for me, I can't do it that way. I can't, switch shoulders and switch grip hands, strong hands, stuff like that. What I've done, or at least the way that I've been doing things, is I back away from my corner, and instead of shifting my whole hands and the gun and everything else, I shift shoulders. So then I'm still like this, and I'm keeping tighter to the corner. But what he made me realize too is if I don't back away from that corner and I go and my muzzle comes out into that doorway, if he's right there, he can grab the front of the gun. And now I'm in a big world of problems. And we actually ran that scenario in the shop, and it made a very valid point. And it shocked me a little bit. I jumped back. I was like, oh, crap. He got the gun in his hand, and I wasn't ready for it. So,
yeah. And the thing is, I don't know if there's anybody in Las Vegas that teaches that type of thing.
I don't think so. I think Front Sight might do some of that stuff. But I don't think there's anybody in Vegas that's teaching QCB stuff. Yeah. Absolutely. But well, let's see. I just pulled up something, and this is something that I know I've wanted to do for a long time. I don't know if this is something that that you do, Miss Wendy, but it looks like. Give me 1 second. Get it pulled up on the screen here. So, SHOT Show, January 18th to the 22nd. Let's see if it's clickable. Is it going to let me click? No. Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten some emails about that because they can't do the physical SHOT Show this year.
Yeah,
they're doing classes, which you have to be a member of the NSSF to participate.
Yeah,
and they weren't cheap.
That sucks. I wanted to go to SHOT Show. I haven't been to a SHOT Show.
Yeah, I know. I'm a quasi employee, so
Okay.
that I can go as a controlled pair.
Ooh, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Is once gun shows start coming back, being able to work the gun shows and stuff like that. Because of course I'm bringing my camera. I'm getting some footage there. That's for sure. Do some interviews with some dealers.
When Jared was doing the gun shows, a lot of times I'd be in the store because you always have to have 2 employees in the store, and everybody else would be at the gun show. Right. And then one of them, I did work the gun show, and I'm a SIG P320 armorer.
Ooh.
So I got called over. They brought somebody over. Hey, what would you do in this situation? What was something where he needed to send it back to SIG?
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta practice that skill because that's, like I said, you don't do it, you lose it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you see my carry weapon. I use my 320 X5. Of course, you have the Legion. You have the fancy version. I don't have that. I've got the regular one, but
my regular one is the one that's got that's black with the red Cerakote.
Yep.
You probably saw it when Jared was Cerakoting.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I'm big proponent for SIG. I like SIG a lot.
The Legion got better weight distribution.
Yes, I heard that. So that leads to another question: Glock or SIG?
Preference?
Yes.
My preference is SIG. I don't like the feel of the Glock. I own 2. I think the 3rd gun I bought was my Glock 19. And it was when the Gen 5s came out, so it was like I was in the store holding Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 4, Gen 5. And I liked the Gen 4 because of the finger groups.
Yes.
And then I just recently bought the Glock 44, which is their 22 caliber one, and I bought it more for training purposes because a lot of people buy Glocks. It's a name they know.
Yes.
Yep.
I could only tell you how many times somebody comes in and I'm a new gun buyer. I want a Glock. And I'm like, are you saying Glock because you've shot a Glock? Or are you saying Glock because you know the name? And 9 times out of 10, it's, oh, well, I know the name.
Yeah.
Right? So they've built themselves an empire based off of their name. You bought that little Carol Baskin one, huh? The Tiger one? Or Tony the Tiger?
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, that's funny. That's awesome.
It's kind of fun to shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to get Jonna one of those because I think that'd be a perfect little gun for her to seriously practice on and stuff like that. She's got a little Ruger pistol, but bullets being the way they are, 22s are still cheaper.
Oh, I tell you, if you want a fun gun, is my Browning 1911 22.
Oh, you hear this, Jax? Do you hear these guns? Man,
yes, I'm hearing them.
She's got millions of guns. She orders specialized grips. And
any Springfield XDMs or XD series?
I've got Springfield XDM. And that, in fact, that was kind of fun. It was when I first got it, I might go to the range and I pulled the trigger and no pew.
Oh,
okay. What's wrong? I didn't have my grip up high enough with that because it's got that back safety grip. And so I've learned when I have it in a holster to go in and go up, get my hand up into that tang better, then draw it because then I'm ready to shoot. And so with all these people buying the EZs, which has that back safety grip, that's one thing I'm sure to tell them, explain to them, and I'm assuming that when they're sold in the store, they're told that. At least I'm hoping so.
At Controlled Munitions, we do. I mean, you've seen me in action at the gun store when I'm, dealing with a customer and selling them a firearm. I completely field strip it. I make sure I explain the safeties and how it works and how it's going to operate. And of course, I know that they're only going to retain 10% of what I said, but I try to show it as much as I possibly can. But I have gone to gun stores too, where I've seen that they're like, okay, cool, here's your gun, bye, have a good day.
Yeah, and then in fact, part of the reason I don't like Glocks is I can't field strip it easily.
Right.
And I can remember when I first started coming into the store, Jared had me work with one for like a half an hour, and I could not hold those little thingies down in the front. And I have a tool. Somebody told me about a tool, which I have somewhere in the house.
Yeah.
to
The
that.
little U clip that grabs it and you can pull it down.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Of course I'm grabbing them all the time, so I had to learn how to do it. But you're right. If you're not shown that, it is very difficult to get the Glock apart.
Yeah.
Once you have it, it gets pretty easy. But even then, they're hard to get your hands on. And I've got big hands. You've seen my hands. I've got huge hands. So getting them to hold it in a different position and get it off is hard.
yeah,
Where like my SIG, my X5, or even my 365 for that matter, it has that takedown lever.
yeah,
So much easier. It's just flip
Yeah.
down the lever, rack it back, and it comes off. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well,
Makes
like
it smooth.
the thing is because people are buying so many different ones. I always tell them, bring your manual with, because now, like the Smith and Wesson, they got that little yellow lever that's in the mag well. Well, I can remember when I bought my Shield and I'm reading the instructions. I'm going, where's that freaking lever? I can't see it because there wasn't much yellow paint on it.
Yeah.
Finally, and my husband looks, he can't see it either. I put a flashlight down there. I go, oh, there it is.
Right.
Yeah, but I like most of my SIGs takedown lever.
Yep. The Ruger LC9 series or LC9S or whatever series, they give you a little dummy magazine in the box when you buy it brand new, and you can't take the gun apart without that dummy mag in it. And if you don't explain that to the customer and they throw it away, they're bringing their gun in all the time. Hey, I need you to take it apart because I can't get it apart. And that's a hard one to get apart too. There's a little door that you have to lower and a pin you have to push from the other side just to take it apart. I mean, of course, obviously that's good and bad.
Another one was the Mossberg when they came out with their pistol.
Yes.
We had to take all the stuff out of the back before you could even field strip it.
Yeah.
So
I think we can agree upon takedown levers are the way to go.
SIG has them, and I think Springfield has them too, right? Like the Hellcat. I think they have a takedown lever.
Pretty much the Hellcat and anything XD series that I've anyways and seen has a takedown lever.
All right, well, Miss Wendy, Smith and Wesson, 9mm, the Shield, or a Hellcat?
Shield.
Yeah. See, Jax, he's a Hellcat guy. He likes Springfield. Yep.
And size-wise, it's very similar to the 365.
Yep.
But what I didn't like about it, and I had heard it before from somebody with good-sized hands, but my pinky was pinched between the mag and the frame. And I go, and then we got a chance to actually shoot it with live ammo, and I'm going, more recoil. It just wasn't as smooth, but I have an original Shield, and fun gun.
Yep.
But I would, for a lot of people, I recommend the EZ if you can get your hands on them. I've got both. Oh, my husband was having trouble. He had a SD9BE, a Smith & Wesson. Couldn't shoot that thing worth a dang. He was having a hard time racking it. So I come out one day with my 380Z, and he says, here, try this.
Yeah.
I had to replace it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think you have two of them, right? You have the 9mm Easy and the 380 now?
He's got the original 380, and then I bought a Performance Center.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, anytime those EZs come into the shop, they fly off the shelves in 2 hours.
For anybody that has weaker hands or has trouble trying to rack, of course, nobody's taught the right way to rack.
Right.
Somebody was in the store the other day and she said, well, I can't rack it. She was selling her Walther. Well, I can't rack it. And I said, well, that's because nobody showed you how to do it right.
Yeah. Yep.
Because everybody wants to do it this way and they don't know to go this way.
Right. Yeah, I try to explain that as well when I'm with customers. You can, if you've got the grip, I mean, like me, I just grab the rack and go.
Yeah.
But for people who don't have it, tuck and punch, you're just holding the slide. Use your strong hand to punch the gun forward. It'll give you the same result, but it'll be easier.
Yeah.
I'm a grip and rip guy myself on the
Yeah,
top
me too.
slide.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't taught it. A lot of things I've learned watching videos and stuff like. I was never taught tap rack.
Yep.
I learned it by watching a woman out of Pennsylvania, Armed and Feminine, did it, and I go, oh, okay. And I was doing it one time at Annie Oakley, and I got yelled at. These are beginners. And I go, well, that's when you should learn how to tap rack.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000% on that. And speaking of that, tap rack training, did I show you the little tap rack caps that go in your magazine?
I saw them, but I didn't see how they worked.
They're awesome. So you can they give you 3. So normally when you go shooting at a course or whatever, you should have 3 mags on you. What I like about them is you can put them in, they act like a follower. But what they do is, you know how your last bullet it locks back? With that in there, it doesn't lock back. So the slide will keep moving. What I like to do, or at least what I plan on doing, is stacking like 5 bullets in a mag, having the tap rack adapter in there. You can stack more bullets on it. So when you're practicing, like actual live fire practicing, you can shoot, and then dead trigger. Okay, cool. Smack, rack it, pull the trigger again. Okay, it didn't go. Drop the mag, do a reload, have a different one in another mag and offset where they are in the magazines. So no matter what, you're learning how to clear malfunctions and reload at the same time.
Yeah, because
they're huge training aids.
It sounds like it's more convenient than a dummy round.
Yeah, snap caps.
Yeah.
I mean, you get stovepipe training with that. You can get failure to feed practice with that. You can get those type of malfunctions from an actual snap cap or dummy round. But these little things, they're flat. Let me see.
Yeah, I saw them in the store. I thought they were kind of cool.
They're like that width, and they sit in there. You can keep loading bullets on top of it, but it allows you to go, okay, nothing went bang. I know I'm not out because I think this is something that people don't do either. I count.
So
I count bullets.
I count as I load them, and I count as I shoot them.
I count as they come out, right? I think that's a big thing for me, at least. So when I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then nothing goes after that, I know my magazine is loaded more than that. What's going on? Okay, great. Tap it, rack it again, go to shoot. Okay, still nothing. Drop my mag, grab another one, throw that in, and of course, I'll offset that, and I mix up the mags. So I know this one's 5 deep. I have that tap rack thing. This one's 10 deep, and then this one's like 3 deep. Mix them up so I don't know which one's which. Load it so it's a complete surprise when it happens, but it's okay. Bang, bang. Oh, crap, it's not going. Smack, whatever. Still not going. Drop the mag, go into another one. Allows you, it builds up kind of like stress. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a under stress training because you don't know what just happened, but you need to clear your gun to keep moving. If it happens in a real world situation where you're defending yourself, you need to be able to tactically reload your gun pretty quickly to protect yourself, because we all know. All right, this leads to a question for me now. When you're done with your most advanced class and people have their CCW or they're planning on open carrying, are you teaching them to keep one in the chamber or to keep it unloaded while carrying?
That is a really controversial question for a lot of people.
It is.
I know when I first started carrying, I didn't carry one in the chamber. And I finally found myself a good Kydex holster.
Yep.
So that I knew my trigger was 100% covered.
Right.
And then that's how I felt. Then with that holster, then I started carrying one in the chamber. And now I use a leather holster most of the time, but I keep one in the chamber because now I built that comfort level, and that's what it is. It's a comfort level.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to say.
In fact, what I read a lot of people do is when they first start carrying, they'll carry a gun in the holster in their home without even a magazine in it.
Yeah, no, that's too much time. I start thinking of timing on shooting, and
to
it's
feel
bad.
how comfortable it is. And then they'll put an empty magazine in it and carry that around inside the house. So because for some people, it's a skill you got to build. It's a comfort level you have to build.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of did something similar to that. I mean, originally I didn't carry one in the chamber, and then I started really thinking about the situation. And if I get caught off guard and I'm not 100% ready to go, then I have a problem. That's I used to be a big manual safety guy. Like I liked the thumb safety itself, had to turn off the safety to make it go bang. And of course, that was due to comfort level. Okay, I know it's on safe. Even if I accidentally bump the trigger, it should not go off. But then once again, that brought up the thing too, where if I'm under stress and I pull out the gun and I go to just pull the trigger and it doesn't go bang, I'm probably dead at that point. So,
Yeah.
I like the guns that have the grip safeties. I like the trigger safeties. I'm not personally into the thumb safeties anymore, but when I am selling a firearm to a new firearms owner, I recommend guns that have manual thumb safeties on them for learning purposes and to get them comfortable. I don't want to put a gun into somebody's hands that literally there really isn't a safety, and if you grab it wrong, it goes bang.
Yeah. I find especially people with young children want that manual safety.
Yeah.
And then you get the people saying, well, this is your safety, your trigger finger.
I'm one of those. Don't do
Yep.
this. It doesn't go
Safe,
bang.
not safe. Safe, not safe.
And when the Serpa holsters were out, which I think there still are, but I have not seen a single instructor that will allow one in their class.
Yeah, the level 2 outside button Serpa holster.
Because what was happening is people keep their button curled. They keep their finger curled as they were pulling it, so as it got out, the finger was on the trigger right away.
Yeah, because of where that placement is on the actual holster. When you go to pull out, you're right in line with that trigger, and you're absolutely correct on that. I used to carry through a Serpa holster because I thought it was safer. Oh, well, they can't pull the gun off of me. Then I realized if I'm situationally aware, don't let anybody get close enough to you on your gun side, and you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, because I rely on retention.
Me too. I like retention now.
I think I've got one holster that where they put the safety switch, where they put the release switch is your thumb. So as you're gripping it, you can put your thumb on that and pull it out, and it's a lot easier. But I'm just so used to just plain old retention.
Absolutely.
I like retention myself. But when it comes to competition shooting, I'm more the Blackhawk Omnivore with that thumb release lever on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I used when I did that one competition. I used my VTAC, which, yeah, that's my X5 holster.
Retention. Yeah, it's a Kydex X5. Only retention. I tighten this screw and this one. I can get more tension on it if I need to, or loosen it if I need to. Now, this holster didn't come with a paddle. It came with that belt, the belt loop thing. Yeah, I prefer paddle.
I don't like
paddle person.
I don't like paddle. And what I find is the belt loop one kind of slid on mine. Yeah. One of my instructors gave me a tip: put skateboard tape on the inside. That'll grip your belt.
That's a good idea. I never thought of that. Grip taping the inside of your belt loop part.
Learn little tricks of the trade from all sorts of people.
Yeah.
It helps to
see. I could do that here. I didn't even think of that. Put some grip tape over this part will help hold it from moving. I like the paddle just because I like how it feels on my hip, and I feel like it sits a little bit better. But there are a lot of people that that like the belt loop better and don't like paddle at all. It's all preference. This holster didn't come with that. I had to modify my holster to make that work.
Yeah. We all have our preferences.
Absolutely. You got any more questions, Jax?
At the moment, I can't think of anything really.
I was gonna say we've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
We've covered a lot of stuff, which is good. But okay, so I do have a question. Your classes, are you still running classes right now, or do you have classes that you're trying to get prepared to start running those again? And what are we looking at price wise, things like that?
well, right now what I've been doing is just the intro class, which is a 2-session class, and I was charging 50 and 50, but the second one is going to have to go up because I supply ammo and targets and stuff, and that stuff starts getting expensive.
Yes.
And then, but what I'm trying to develop is a 6-session class where the first is the safety, and then the first time out we'll work with 22s, and then after that we'll start working with their gun, and especially if they want to do it for carry defense, then I want to help them choose a holster, because if you're like most of us, we have a drawer full of holsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In fact, I have a clear on the back of my bedroom door. I've got a clear shower curtain with pockets, and of course you got to have different holster for each gun. So
Right.
then I marked which gun it belongs to. So I'm sitting there, okay, and I know, like when I go to take a class, I said, okay, what gun do I take? Well, which ones do I have holsters for? Because I don't have holsters for everything.
Right.
In fact, right now I'm looking for like 3 holsters.
Oh, me too. I got that little K-frame revolver that I want to start carrying at the shop. I think Rick's brought in an outside the waistband holster. I want an inside waistband holster, but I think he brought me an outside the waistband holster. I'm gonna have to try and see if that fits. I haven't even seen it yet. As far as I know, it's at the shop, so I'm gonna have to check that out tomorrow when I'm there.
Yeah, I've got my CZ I want to get a holster for, and that one I want Kydex.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 very, very nice SIG holster guns.
Yeah.
And those I'm going to have Rick make me outside the waistband holsters for.
Yeah.
Just because I don't, when you put that kind of money into a firearm, you don't want it scratched.
No,
and
you don't.
And what's interesting is they're both competition guns. They've got the ergonomically designed wood grip.
Yeah. I like I forget what grips that. I think it was for like a 230 or 260. I don't know. You have that, it flares out at the top for your thumb to rest on top. I know you had that pistol in there when me and John were helping you with your AR that one day. I can't remember what it was, if that was a SIG or not.
Well, what I've done with, if you look at a lot of the replacement grips for 1911s, I think the brand is Gun, Gunn. They have, so you can rest your thumb in a certain spot on them.
Yeah.
But then I've been trained that of course, 1911s have a safety on. I've been trained to have my thumb on top of that safety, so you don't accidentally flick it on.
Right.
So, like I said, each to their preference.
Right. Oh, I do have another question. So in your classes, do you ever talk about guns that have decockers on them? Because sometimes customers will buy a gun or ask for a gun, and I look at it, I pull it out and go, okay, this is the gun. But one thing I want you to be aware of is this isn't a safety. So like when I talk about safeties on a gun with a customer and I'm holding it, I go, okay, here's the thumb safety. Red means dead. If you see red, it's going to go bang. If you don't, it's not going to go off. It's the opposite. On a decocker, it sits where red's on there, and when you go to cover your red up as you would with a safety, it actually releases the hammer and could cause accidental discharge. I don't think that gets talked about very much.
No, I've got 1 or 2 that have decockers on. Yeah. And the first time I got one, I'm going, this isn't a safety. How does it work?
Right.
And so, like I said, I'm not real familiar with them because there aren't too many that have decockers on them.
Right.
They're all ones that have they have a hammer on it.
Yeah.
And but
Yeah, your Walther P22 has a decocker on it. The Browning 380, they or Brownells, I mean, they have I know Browning 380 has a decocker on it. There's a couple of SIGs that have a decocker on it.
Yeah.
But once again, like you said, they're hammer firearms, and typically, I have a lot of women that come into the shop looking for concealed carry guns that are revolvers, and that's always shocked me.
Well,
I didn't understand that.
what the thing is with revolvers is what they've been told is that you don't have to deal with the safety. They're a lot easier because you don't have to rack the slide, all this kind of thing. It's just that on a revolver, what part of the safety is the poundage of the trigger pull.
Yeah.
I had a lavender lady that I was going to use as a concealed carry. I sold it.
Yeah.
The hammer press was so hard because it was hammer. The hammer was internal. You didn't have the hammer to pull, and so it was like, and I go, no. It to me is let's teach them how to rack a slide properly. If they can't, then we can start looking at something else.
One of these.
Yeah, but no hammer on it.
Oh no, a hammerless.
Yeah, hammerless. Yeah, like that.
Oh, I like hammerless little snub nose 38s. I think those are awesome.
I mean, it was a nice little gun. It's just that it wasn't practical for me.
Right. Right. Yeah, my little 380 is it's got a hammer on it. Eventually I'm going to want to get a hammerless one just because you can appendix carry. And there's a video of some guy that was doing like a training, like a draw from the holster self-defense situation where literally he drew while grabbing his shirt and just flipped the gun this way and just went pop, 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 pop through his shirt if he needed to. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever because, semi-automatic, you got to draw out and do this and do all that stuff to get it to go. But if you can appendix pull and you don't have a slide or anything that's going to rack you in the stomach while you're shooting, that's pretty awesome.
I personally don't appendix carry because I got too much fluff.
Oh, me too. I'm a side carry, but
and I carry about 2
that is cool.
I can't conceal well at 3. That's where when I first started outside, I did at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now I do everything at 2, my
Yeah.
outside or inside, because that way I've got that muscle memory that I'm going to the same spot on my body.
Yep.
But what I learned is when you draw, and if you have to shoot close, you turn it slightly so the slide comes back and it's to empty space.
Yeah.
It's not going to hit you in the gut.
See that, and that's why you got to take a class from Miss Wendy. She's going to teach you stuff that most people don't think about, because that's always been my main concern was firing from the hip. If I ever had to, for whatever reason, I'm going to hit myself in the gut a bunch of times, and I'm not trying to do that with the slide.
Yeah,
especially with that X5, that's a heavy slide.
You pull it up and you turn so you're like maybe 45 degrees.
Yeah,
because at that point you're pointing and shooting.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's another thing. People got to train that.
And then as you come out where you're married, then you've got, you've got it all set.
Absolutely. I think that's one thing that isn't taught very much either is we can all train and practice and get real good with our sights, but how many people are really looking down their sights when it's self-defense? You know what I mean? I'm pointing and shooting. I'm going based off of muscle memory. So, of course, your dry fire training, you're learning all that. You're learning how to line up sights and stuff is good. Drawing from the holster and getting your eyesight to where every time you pull, you're getting a good picture every time you go is obviously going to benefit you. But when it really goes, haywire, I'm not looking down my sights. I'm pointing right where I need to hit, and I'm just pulling the trigger. I'm relying on my muscle memory and the training that I've done to that point.
It's generally, if you're shooting, you're not up. If you're in a different situation, your gun's could be more about chest high.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot to do, and I know I've taken some defensive handgun classes, And I'm sitting there thinking, I've got to get more training so I can teach it.
Absolutely. Yep. Definitely something that needs to be touched on a lot more. But we are about to hit the end of the hour here soon. We want to thank you very much, Miss Wendy, for hopping on, and hopefully we can get you back on the show maybe next month or something. Or if you got some updates coming up, we can get you back onto the show. I know we've got some other stuff that's got to be addressed. Jax, I think we can keep Miss Wendy in here for the tactical gear items and stuff as well. You want to start with your tactical gear item?
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to sign off. I'm supposed to have been at my trainer's 15 minutes ago.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
And we'll probably see you at the store tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you later.
Yep.
Take care, Wendy.
Yeah, good to meet you, Jax.
Nice to meet you too. All right. So that was awesome. Before we get into the tactical gear items, after the show here, we'll touch base more offline like we usually do. So for this week's tactical gear item, this is another one of the items that came in that small little 6 or 8 kit that the multi-tool card that I showed on Thursday comes in. Still made by Ozark Trail. The nice part about this one, it does have a case that comes with it too. However, if you don't want to carry it in a case, it does have a belt clip. So you can just throw it on, your belt or in your pocket and call it a day there. You got your basic Gerber tools like your saw, your file. It's got a little tape measure there on the other side, more so ruler than a tape measure. Smaller flathead, bigger flathead with a can opener or bottle opener, depending on what you want to use it for, on the bottom side of both of them. Then on this side here, okay, so those are bottle openers. More can opener, bottle openers there. Let's see here. Is this the smaller knife? No. Kind of looks like it could be, though. But another small tool there. Then you have your Phillips, and then your hideaway folding knife there, which is kind of cool. It looks like it has a pair of wire cutters on the end of it, or not the end of it, the bottom portion of your pliers there. And, for overall compact size when it's folded down, not too shabby. So, again, I've been, kind of biased towards Ozark Trail stuff lately. Go ahead and check it out. You can find their product lines at Walmart or Cabela's, I'm sure, still. If there's one down in the Las Vegas area. The only one here left in Minnesota I know of is still out in Woodbury. So let's see what Wes has in store for you. Can't hear you, brother. You're muted.
Boom. Good catch, bro. Okay. Yeah, I muted myself. Good catch. You could or could not consider this tactical gear or not, but ammo crates. So this one in particular is something that we sell at the shop. Ammo crate utility box. So your standard steel can, military style ammo can, you'll hold decent amount of ammo in it. This crate is about double the capacity, has some nice side handles instead of a top handle, so you can get 2 hands on your case, which makes it really nice. We have them in a bunch of different colors. We've got flatter cans, so like single stack high. This can right here, I could hold like 30 AR PMags in it. We also have cans that are dedicated for PMags specifically, or AR style mags where it has foam in it to hold mags separately. They also have ammo cans that You can do pistol mags and AR mags in it. I'm one of those type of people where I load my magazines prior to doing any type of shooting or anything like that, and I store them loaded. I would much rather have my ammunition ready to go than to wait and load it later. I would rather replace springs and followers than not be prepared. And typically, from what I've heard, is that you can store ammunition in your AR style mags or any mag really for that matter for up to 10 years and not really have any problems. I number all of my magazines. Actually, let me grab a couple. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So, bunch of P mags and stuff, hex mags, different style of mags, of course. As you'll see, I have them all numbered to where I know exactly what mag is what. So whenever I go and shoot, if I ever have a problem with a magazine, I take my little shooter's pad, write down what number of the mag that I had a problem with, and then I can address it later. I have about 15 or 16 of the FDE mags and about 15 or 16 of the black mags. So like I said, I'll just give you an example with my ammo can or crate here. Let's see. So right there alone, there's what, 6 magazines in there. I can get probably another 6 to 7 here. And then if I wanted to stack them, I can almost go. Oh, actually, no, I will be able to. So let's see if I can keep that in order. I can stack 3 high on there. So let's see, 12, 3, so like 36, 46 mags that I'll be able to stack in there, which is nice. That's just AR-15 mags on our regular box. This box goes for like 19 bucks at the shop. It's waterproof. Like I said, it has those nice carry handles on it. The stickers come off. So if, which actually I've been meaning to do this anyway, so I'll just do it now. Nice and clean. I can put whatever stickers I want on there. And actually, funny story. If you head on over to sincitytactical.xyz, you can get yourself a Sincity Tactical sticker. Or, because it is that green, a nice Minnesota Overlanders logo right there on the can will look pretty nice as well. But yeah, that's my tactical gear item. Come on down to the shop. We've got a bunch of cans, big, small, flat. They're nice, and they're very reasonable in price, and plus they're not steel, so they're not clinking around when you're carrying them. But that's all I got on my tactical gear item.
Basically one of every flavor.
Yeah. And now I actually want to do that. So let's see. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't wait for me. I'm doing a sticker now.
All right. So, well, I mean, as I've said too, when it comes to the Ozark Trail kits and tactical gear items in general that we've previously shown here on air, most of the stuff that I get in my kits come, fairly cheap. Pretty inexpensive anyways, and for what you get in those kits, it's definitely worth the 15, 20 bucks that you're spending. When it comes to the 550 cord aspect, I believe the second roll I bought was only like $8 or $9, so not too terrible there either. You can never have too much 550 cord. You never know when it's going to come in handy, especially if you're out camping or in a survival situation where you need to make an impromptu tent or some sort of cover. It's definitely worth having with you. Like, for instance, myself, as you guys have seen, as of Thursday's episode, I have my camo net backdrop now, which is awesome.
Yes.
However, with that being said, if I were in a tacticalized situation where I needed to provide some sort of concealment, not even so much as cover, but concealment, I'd take this and some 550 cord. I have some tie downs on this that I'd take my 550 cord, tie it through the loop, tie the other end around a tree, and try to make as much concealment as possible out of the, I believe it's like 6.5 feet long or wide and like 10-foot long sheet of camo netting that I have. And the camo netting I picked up was only like 17 or 18 bucks on Amazon. So that's also very inexpensive if you're looking for cheap concealment, especially for avid hunters out there that don't have a in-ground or on-the-ground blind or a tree stand to sit in and hunt from. Now,
well, not just that. If you're out camping or something, you can cover your truck. You can get rid of that glare from the sunlight and kind of keep yourself more hidden.
yeah, exactly. So having things like that, we've talked about putting together EDC bags and bug out bags, if you will, for lack of a better term. And now when you're thinking of picking up all these items for your bags and that, you have to decide what's going to go in what bag and be the most useful and practical in said bag. You don't want to, for instance, say throw a bivy cover in with your food ration bag or something stupid like that where it wouldn't make any sense to be in that bag.
I agree. 1,000%. Sincity Tactical ammo can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
there we go.
That right there. But no, his survival kit that he saw, it was the right before Christmas episode. You saw his Ozark Trail kit. I literally was at Walmart yesterday and I physically saw one in the store, same paracord color scheme, and it was going for $24.33. Here's a little pro tip on Walmart. If you see anything priced at $24.33, it is going to go on discount in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's out of the store. So 33 cents on the price tag. Wait about a week or two. You'll see it at an even more discounted price, and then it'll be out of the store. That's a little tip and trick when it comes to Walmart shopping. 88 cents means they're on their way to start clearing it out, which means give it about 2 months and you'll find it at its cheapest price, and so on and so forth. So it goes 88, 62, and then 33. 33 is the bottom price that they'll put to try to salvage the item's profitability before they put it on its last clearance and then it leaves the shop. So always check for 33-cent price tags at Walmart.
Indeed.
Well, we've had a pretty long show. We're pushing 2 hours, man. 1 minute, and it'll be literally 2 hour show. So we're going to give a shout out real quick to B&E Music. They're a sponsor of the Minnesota Overlanders side of things on Thursday nights. From what I've heard, there's going to be some new music being shown on Thursday night's show. So look forward to that. And we're going to save the CLS training. I think we might do that on Thursday. That's going to be a Jack's decision there. And
yeah, actually, I have a small little clip it pulled up here if you wanted to run through the scenario.
I'm good. I just didn't want to keep you locked up for a bunch of time.
Oh no, you're good. That's what I was doing when I reached under the desk to pull out the CLS book, actually.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So we've covered a few different scenarios and things in your tourniquet, or not your tourniquet, your IFAC, excuse me, and yeah, some things in your tourniquet, aka extremities. However, we haven't really gone too much into depth of combat casualties, I guess, and the percentage of those casualties. Now, this, mind you, according to my CLS book, is a breakdown from Vietnam. So, deaths due to ground combat during that time, 31% of it was penetrating head trauma. 25% of the deaths were surgically uncorrectable torso trauma. 10% is potentially surgical correctable trauma. 9% is bleeding from wounds on the extremity. 7% is mutilating blast trauma. 5% pneumothorax, and then 1% is airway problems. Less than 5% died of wounds after evacuation to, obviously, a medical center or back to the FOB, where the medics can actually do more than you as a CLS certified person could take care of in the field. So, and most of that, less than 5%, was from infections and complications of shock. With that being said, that just kind of gives you guys the breakdown of a wartime situation in combat. So, flipping that and going into a civilianized side of things with it, it's more so we've kind of touched on the whole ATF and everything else and the whole AR-15 scenario, but realistically, most of the gun-related violence is coming from smaller caliber pistols such as your 9mm, your 40s. Well, not even so much your 40s, more so the 9mm, but you do have a few people that have been, out there with 40s and 45s and things of that nature. But in that scenario where somebody is shot, it's usually either A, in the head, or in kind of a point and shoot scenario like what we were talking about earlier in the torso. Now, in a situation like that, we've touched on care under fire, where getting your buddy to, a covered area out of harm's way to try to get the CLS portion of things out of the way so get, medevac out of there. Now, we haven't really touched on exactly how to do that yet. And so there's a few different ways, actually. Well, according to the book, there's really two different ways, either dragging or by carrying, but there's 3 different types of drags. And then you have about 4 different types of carrying, mainly based off of one platform. So for your drags, you're going to have a one-person drag, which is usually, per instance, let's say we were out in the field and I went down and we were wearing our plate carriers. There's a little drag handle on the back of your carrier that you're going to grab onto and drag your buddy out of harm's way. Now, your 2-person drag is going to kind of be a similar thing, but instead of one person grabbing that drag handle and pulling, you got 2 people. So in that scenario, it'd be adding in or, somebody else that is associated with us. Now, your cradle drop drag has nothing to do with the drag handle on your plate carrier. Let's say we're in a situation where we don't have one. You're going to go up with the person gently up from behind, get under their back, put your arms in the small of their armpits, lift them up, crossing your arms, gripping your wrist, and drag them to safety. Something similar to what Wes is depicting right there.
Drag handle.
Now, yep.
Mine's cool though. You ready? Watch this. I got a leash.
Oh. See, mine doesn't come with the leash portion of it. Mine's just a regular drag handle, which, I guess in your aspect would be a nice thing to have the leash there in case
Well, what's nice
it
is,
does
so look,
rip under.
say this is you, right? You're running, bang, you get shot, you're on the ground. Well, if I have to bend down and drag you like this, how am I going to protect us? It's going to be very hard, right? So what's nice about my plate carrier with that leash, I can drag you like this and still keep my firearm where I want it to be able to defend us. And what's cool is I take it, run it back down through the Molly channel, Velcro it back on, it's back. 511
Nice.
Tech plate carrier with the what you call it? Damn, why am I blanking?
Meshing sides.
It's I blanked it, whatever. But
Velcro meshing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So now what you were talking about in that case point scenario is kind of what the next portion is for the carries. Now the first one is going to be your Hawes carry. That is where you pick, if the person is, able to help you somehow get them up off the ground. Let's say they were shot in one leg, but still have full power over their other leg. If they can push up as you're taking their arm, putting it over, your offhand, obviously, because you're going to want to keep your shooting hand open. Lift them up, have them over your back, still have your weapon at the, well, it'd technically be your low leg, but you're still able to stand, get your rifle up, drop them if you have to, and, actually gain positive control of your firearm. Now, your one-person support carry is going to be more of a side-by-side. So it'd be like if you're putting your arm around your buddy, hey, how's it going? They grab your wrist, hold you over, and then you're walking with them. Two or modified two-person and aft carry. One of your battle buddies is going to come up, put his arms under you like the cradle drop drag, and then your other battle buddy is going to come up and grab your ankles, and you're going to get lifted up and carried out of there. Then you got your two-person support carry. Instead of the hey buddy, how's it going, just with one person, it's the hey buddy, how's it going with two, and they're actually carrying you, and you're kind of hobbling along on one foot. So reason I brought that up was I know we've kind of covered most of the gear in most IFACs, and I do have another one on the way to in the mail. So once that one gets in, I'll have to do a breakdown of what comes in that one, which is a lot more from what it looks like in the picture than what is in the current one that I'm running as of right now. So
sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I like the CLS training stuff. That's why I was going to save it for next week, is just because I wanted to make sure that that's in the episode and being viewed, because I feel that's one of the most important topics that we talk about is the CLS training stuff. But we are going to wrap things up. We're pushing a little over 2 hours on the show today. We greatly appreciate everybody that's joined in. If you just joined in, sorry you missed it, but you will be able to do a replay of it on either Minnesota Overlanders Facebook, on the Sincity Tactical Facebook, YouTube. We're also on Twitch and a bunch of other platforms as well. But Jax always likes to leave us with a positive message, so let him take that away, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Indeed, brother. So this week, obviously we're into the new year now. So what we had towards the end of 2020, it's greatly appreciated you guys supporting us and being here every show, interacting. We love having the comments come through and being able to answer questions. Today's episode, obviously, involving Wendy, was awesome because we had a different perspective that questions could be answered from for you guys. And in 2021, we're going to continue to keep updating content and giving you guys something new each week. So stay safe out there, everybody. I know COVID's still going on, but if you are going to ranges and having fun shooting guns, stay safe, train hard, and we will catch Thursday night.
Catch you next time.